It's Kelly Clarkson here to talk all things Wayfair, the best place to buy furniture, decor, and anything else you can think of to create a home you absolutely love. I know when I shop with Wayfair, I find options for every style, whether I'm feeling boho or farmhouse, modern, traditional, French country. I can find exactly what I need for my home and more. No matter your space, style, or budget, shop Wayfair.com to make your home way more you.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hello, book lovers. Welcome to Must Love Books. Hello, and welcome back to Must Love Books podcast. Today, I am here with New York Times-bestselling author Tricia Levenseller for her adult debut, What Fury Brings. Tricia, hello, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing so great. So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to have you on here to celebrate your adult debut. I have read, honestly, everything you've ever written, all of your YA
thank you.
fantasies. I love them so much. My favorite is probably Daughter of the Siren Queen.
Really? Okay. I don't hear that very often. I love it.
I am a good second book fan.
Yeah.
You know,
I
the
love a
first
strong
one is
ending.
always great. Yes,
Yeah.
the first one always you're getting introduced to the world, but the second one, you've got all the backstory and you're ready to just jump right back into all the drama, and I love it.
I love it. Well, thank you very much.
So why don't you tell our listeners all about your newest novel?
My one sentence pitch is that it is about a kingdom with a shortage of men. So women must go and kidnap husbands, should they want one, from neighboring kingdoms and bring them back home to train them. I got the idea for this while I was visiting Paris one day. I was at the Louvre and I saw a little write-up in a pamphlet about a painting that was inspired by the abduction of the Sabine women. Supposedly there was a time in Roman history where there was a shortage of women. And so the Romans just went and took them from their neighbors. And I thought, that's awful and so typical of men. What if I gender swapped that? So that whole idea stemmed from that. And I just went with it and had lots of fun with it.
A little revenge on the
Oh,
historical, on historical men.
Exactly. I'm very clear when I talk about this book that it is not a feminist novel because feminism is about equality between the sexes. This is a revenge novel. You got to be in the right mindset to go into it. If you're expecting a matriarchal utopia, this is not the book for you. Utopia. Yeah, exactly.
If you have crossed over from feminism straight into misandry, this novel is for you.
Yeah, exactly. The overall message of the book is not we hate men. It's very much let's take a new look at history and all the horrible things that have happened to women by seeing it happen to men instead. My intent is not let's just be mean to men. It's, hey, let's take a look at this and see how ridiculous it is when we kind of turn the tables and maybe look at misogyny in a new way.
I love that. And I think a really
Thank
good
you.
way to reflect on these type of historical events is by flipping them.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's obviously just the set dressing. This novel at its core is a romance. I think even if you're just a big romantasy lover, I think you will enjoy it regardless of the themes happening in the background.
So how about you tell us about our romance pairing?
Olara is our main female character, and she is in the running to be queen. A way to make herself seem like a stronger political candidate is to go and kidnap herself a husband. This is just tradition in their country. She means to set out and take this gentle, docile prince from her enemy kingdom because he's said to be pretty and a poet and just easier to tame, right? But she accidentally, unbeknownst to her, takes the warrior crown prince instead, who of course fights her every step of the way. So we've got a little bit of a mistaken identity trope going on here. Definitely straight up enemies to lovers. He obviously does not want to be kidnapped. Thanos is very no, I'm a warrior and I'm supposed to rule my country one day. I gotta go back home. What are you doing, woman? But he can't let her know who he really is because he's worried that she'll kill him if she finds out that he's not who she thinks he is. So he's got to kind of play along, pretend to be his brother, and obviously slowly and reluctantly reluctantly a romance develops between the two.
A forced proximity, enemies to lovers, mistaken
Oh yeah.
identity.
Oh yeah.
Love
Captor,
it.
captive. Yeah.
Yes.
Got a lot of fun things going on there.
Super fun tropes that we really love to see in a good, solid romantasy.
Thank you.
So, I would like to talk a little bit about what your writing process is like. And
Absolutely.
then, how does writing your adult novel differ from writing one of your YA romantasies?
Absolutely. So I obviously come from YA. I have 8 YA romantasies published. And I actually found that writing adult is a little bit easier because when it comes to writing YA, you have to be more tactful. You can write about the exact same things that you would for adults. You just have to be careful in how it's presented. Obviously, we're not going to be quite as graphic with things. We're going to talk about emotions more when it comes to intimate scenes as opposed to just naming body parts and talking more about what's happening in those intimate scenes. We're going to focus on discovering who you are in YA versus knowing who you are and having your values questioned in adults. So it really comes down to those differences in how you approach the theme of the novel and what the characters are after, and then just showing a little bit more tact. So writing adult for me was like, the training wheels are coming off and you can just put whatever you want into the book and just trust that if your adult readers don't like it, they'll just put the book down. I don't have to be careful about impressionable young readers. That's not something I have to worry about when I write for adults. It was just a very different experience in that sense. But again, I'm writing the same thing. I'm just approaching it differently. As for writing process, it's different book to book. For What Fury Brings, I didn't outline super heavily, but I did spend a lot of time thinking about the book before I ever started writing it. I like to have a good idea of like really core moment scenes that I want to write, have a good sense of the characters, and I really just like keep these ideas on the back burner while I'm working on my current project. And I kind of let my subconscious work on the book while I'm doing that. When I just felt like, yes, this feels like a whole cohesive novel, I started working on it. I started working on it while I was in grad school. And when I had a good sampling of pages, I sent it to my editor and she was like, yes. I was like, okay, cool. So I didn't outline super heavily. I'm a big believer in setting daily word counts and just meeting those word count goals. So just one step at a time, day after day. And it was a really, really fun process.
Now, you mentioned setting word count goals, which is a method that I abide to as well. I love that.
Oh,
But
it's good.
what
Yeah.
do you do when you're having like a roadblock day?
Yes. So I do allow some days for, no, I've hit a wall. We need to figure out what happens next. And then I pivot to a plotting day instead. So instead of hitting our word count goal, I get out my e-notebook and we're just going to sit down and we're going to plot. And we're going to spend as long as it takes to figure out the problem that day, fix it, and then the next day we can go business as usual back to the word counts. But I always leave in days for fix it because you're inevitably going to hit walls. Things are going to not turn out the way you want them to. Like it just happens. So yeah.
I love that. That's actually really great advice for any of our writer listeners on ways to just kind of pivot from those block days. That's a really good idea.
Absolutely. And do what you need to for the process. If it's, reading an old favorite book to get in the sense of the feels that you're going for in your own story. If it's going out and being in nature to feel inspired again, like make it all part of the process for that day and just solving it.
Absolutely. That's fantastic advice. So will you be pursuing more adult fiction, whether it's fantasy, romantasy, from here out? Are you going to return to any YA stories?
My hope is to split and alternate because I love YA, I love adults. I can't see myself stopping either. I already have books for more adult and more YA under contract, so they're definitely coming. And I just love doing both, so I hope to keep doing that.
That is the exact answer I was hoping for.
Fantastic.
As someone who has read both your YA and adult novels.
Yeah, no, this isn't a pivot. This is just a fun venture for me. So I'm going to keep doing both.
Then readers get the best of both worlds.
I hope so. I hope so.
Is there anything that you can share about some of these upcoming projects?
Yeah, so the adult one hasn't been announced yet, but what I can say is it takes place in the same world as What Fury Brings, but features different characters, a different romantic couple, and I think you'll have a pretty good idea of who it is when you get to the end of What Fury Brings. I snuck a little something in there. And that was actually so I could convince my editor to buy the next book. I was like, here, read this chapter. Don't you think? Anyway, and it worked. So yay. I have sold my next YA. It is a YA epic fantasy trilogy. And it is about a fat princess, an orphan nobody, and a gay ranger who have to save their world from a magically gifted serial killer. And I'm really excited to get to that one as well.
Incredible.
Thank you.
Incredible. The vibes are immaculate.
Thank you.
Do you have a title on that one yet, or?
It's going to be called the Chromomancer Chronicles because it deals with color magic, which is kind of fun. I have a working title, but it could change. Right now, I really want to call it Averted Magic, but we'll see. It'll probably change, so don't hold me to that one.
I love that. Well, readers can definitely stay tuned for more information to be announced.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can always check my website for updates. I always have what I'm working on there and upcoming projects and stuff. So my website's a good way to stay informed.
Excellent. I love that. And I love that for me personally as well. New books to look out for, new things to add to my ever-growing TBR.
I love it.
Let's go ahead and talk about your inspiration. So obviously we talked about the inspiration for the novel itself from history, but what inspired you specifically for these characters, Alara and Sanos?
Yeah, I almost always start with plot and then create characters that I think are going to fit that plot well. So obviously if we're going to kidnap a man who's not just going to go along with it, but puts up a fight is going to create more interesting and juicy conflict for the story. So I'm going to create a warrior prince who's got dreams of his own and plans already in place. And I'm just going to disrupt those from the start. Era was super easy just because, I don't know, it was a little bit of wish fulfillment, I guess, on my part. She is this plus size queen, just has like all the power already. She's a general. She has the respect of all her soldiers. I loved this idea of a woman who was already in power, already knew herself. She is fighting against her evil cousin to become queen because she doesn't want the country run by her terror of a cousin. I almost discovery write my characters a little bit, but a lot of it does come to, okay, what is my plot and what's going to create the most interesting conflicts with that plot. When I'm crafting two people who are on opposite sides of a romance, I also like to look at their own traits. And by examining them together, I ask myself, like, what of their characteristics are going to create juicy conflict and what are they going to agree on? What is each one missing? And what's their wound that the other can fill for them? So I like to examine them together and not so much separately, because I think that helps with creating characters as well for a romance.
I love that.
Thank you.
That is excellent. It's an almost like academic way of approaching character creation.
Thank you.
Which you mentioned that you were doing your graduate program. Do you think
Yes.
that contributed to your writing?
I will say I did get my MFA in writing because I wanted to be able to teach at the college level. And I will say I did my critical thesis on romantasy and blending a fantasy plotline with a romance plotline seamlessly to create this new name for a genre that we're all excited about. Obviously, the idea of romantasy has been around a long time. So I will say that it gave me permission to do a little bit of a deep dive into this topic, which I think was really fun and helpful.
I love that. That is so cool.
Thank you. I had lots of fun. I hate writing papers, and I somehow managed to manage. Wow, I somehow managed to write a paper. So
love writing, but hate writing papers. That's so funny.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
I mean, they are very different styles.
Yeah. Essays, not so much my thing, but they gave me my degree. So there you go. So the magic in this book, each country worships a different goddess, and the women in the main kingdom, where my main character hails from, they worship a goddess who blessed them with the power to physically overcome men, which means if any man tries to match them in physical skill, he will lose every time. So I have this world in which women are the stronger sex. Everything that has happened, historically to women over the course of history has actually happened to men. So men are the ones who cannot hold property. Men are the ones who are punished for infidelity, whereas women have these large harems if they want them, things like that. And it all stems from this magic system. But I realized that I needed to have a main character with some vulnerabilities and some insecurities. And so for reasons she does not understand, she does not have this ability that everyone else in her kingdom seems to have. She is not physically stronger than men. And she has to hide that because she's worried that people will think the goddess does not support her claim to the throne if people find out about it. And then our prince in the kingdom he comes from, their god blessed them with virility. And so there's a lot of dick jokes in the book that actually means that they just have really big cocks. That's really fun and something that I think should be brought up just because it's a fun magic system and it was fun to play with.
It is fun, and it's one that you can really play with a lot in regards to the different blessings from different kingdoms and
Yep.
what it looks like when characters don't live up to those blessings, or, how it can be expressed.
100%.
Yeah, it's super fun to read too. So I want to talk about, because I know a little bit on your website, you mentioned trigger warnings and spice levels. So let's go ahead and talk about that on the podcast. What trigger warnings do you include in the author's note for readers who are new to this?
Absolutely. So obviously this is going to be a lot more graphic than my YA. So you're looking at graphic violence, graphic sex, and graphic language that is just not in my YA books. Definitely be aware of that. As for other trigger warnings, there's mentions of sexual assault, but I don't write any scenes that are actually showing it. But if having it talked about is something that is triggering for you, obviously please take care of yourself. I know this might not be for you. There is physical and emotional abuse by a parent and spouse in the novel. Dubious consent. Obviously he's being kidnapped. And while I think that when they actually do get physical, it does feel consensual. If you have any issues about captor-captive romances, then this is probably not going to be for you. I have sex workers. I have men being auctioned and sold in the book. There is mentions of grooming and underage partners. Nothing on, graphic on the page, but there just is mention. We obviously know that, throughout history, women were sold off to be married as soon as they got their periods. And in this novel, as soon as men are old enough to perform, they are also wedded off. So I was really just doing a full flipping so that it's happening. You're not going to see it, but you do know it's happening. There's some war themes and military violence. My main character is a warrior, so you're going to see a bit of violence in that regard. And then there is a little bit of animal death, mostly war horses, but there is mention of a dog that died in the past, but it is not graphic. It is not on page that you are actually seeing it. But I always like to mention that because we know how we love our dogs. And the big thing that I think is actually a selling point, but of course I have to put it in there, is that there is a penis guillotine in the novel that is used on rapists. But if that is overly violent to you, then probably not going to be for you. So those are my trigger warnings for this book.
The thing about trigger warnings is, yes, people can use them to gauge on whether it's something they want to avoid, but there are
Absolutely.
many cases where it is actually a selling point.
You're like, oh, this is going to get violent and bloody and sexy. Yes.
I'm in. Let's go.
I'm in. Let's go. Yeah, that's me. I'm like, yes, bring it.
Yes, I definitely applauded the guillotine scene.
Thank you. Thank you. I had maybe way too much fun writing that. But
I'm like, more
whatever.
of this.
More of this, please. More of this. Yeah, I love it.
And in regards to, everyone has their kind of own version of a chili pepper rating.
So I know everybody's all over the place. I like to give it 3 chili peppers. There are 4 scenes over the course of the novel of varying heat levels, but there are 4 what I would consider sexy scenes. So however you would rate that, but I would give it 3 chili peppers out of 5.
After reading the arc, I would agree. I'd give it about 3 out of 5 as well. So I think your assessment at least aligns with my assessment.
Excellent. Excellent.
So my next question for you is, how have you approached separating your new adult novel from your YA collections?
Oh, sure. So I did not write under a pseudonym. It was very important to me to keep my name. I don't know. I did all the work. I want my name on the book. I'm very proud of that. So I obviously didn't use a pseudonym to separate my genres. However, we made absolutely certain that in all of the data for booksellers and bookstores, the book is very clearly labeled as adult. It goes in the adult section. It does not go next to my YA novels. So if you see it in the YA section, please tell somebody, because we have done everything we possibly can on the back end to ensure that that does not happen. I also made sure to put an author's note right at the beginning of the book. It is the very first thing you read, and it says right on there, 18 plus. So if anybody reads that and goes right past on by it, then, that's on them. That's literally all I can do is do things on the back end, and then even have my author's note right at the beginning. First page you read, please know what's in this book. Hopefully that'll be enough to distinguish it all. And if not, I'm so sorry. But I did everything I could.
Yeah, I have seen some authors choose to use different pen names for when writing across genres or across age groups, but I totally support you are the one who did the work. It's your
Thank
book.
you. And it's honestly it's the same genre. It's just a different age category. So you know what I mean? Like I didn't want to discourage adults from reading both of my books because I feel like they're, my YAs have very much crossover appeal. It's still a me book. It's very similar to what I've done before. It's just a bit more graphic. So all I can do is put those warnings in there and hope that people don't skip them on by. If it were an optional author's note, I would have put it at the back, not at the front.
Exactly. Author's notes are there for a reason.
They are there for a reason. Please read them.
So, Tricia, I want to say congratulations again on your adult debut,
Thank
Fairy
you.
Brings. I highly recommend this novel to my listeners. If you like any sort of romantasy or slightly more graphic fantasy, I think you would really, really appreciate this novel.
Thank you very much. Lately, in the mood I've been in, I would like to leave you with life's too short to read books that you're not enjoying. Don't be afraid to put down a book if it is not just hitting your buttons the right way. Feel free to be selective. I think all the time about how I will die before I write all the books I want to write and read all the books I want to read. So it's okay to be picky. It's okay to like what you like. And let's make sure we're not shaming others for what they like to read either. So there's my parting words.
Excellent advice for the reading community as a whole.
Thanks.
Thank you again for joining me today, Tricia, and congratulations on what
Thank
Fury
you.
brings out everywhere today.
Yes, very exciting. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been Must Love Books. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon under @Must Love Books Podcast. Thank you and happy reading.